some conversation. Which reminds me, this meeting is recorded. It says in big print here to remind you. So welcome, everybody. Our newsletter has gone out, and I hope you all got a chance to look it over. I wanted to highlight a couple of things on the newsletter. Next month's topic will always be here. This is how you get a link in the middle here to the meeting. And then if you want to join the council, there's a link there for that. Important links on the back are to our archive. So you can get this meeting or any of our past meetings in two ways. You can look at the meetings minutes online, or you can see the video of the meeting online as well. And those are all archived until who knows when, because it's digital. It'll probably be forever, right? So I want to call the meeting to order. I don't know if we have a quorum, do we?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Okay, we have a quorum for the meeting. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Karen Schwartz, and I'm currently the chair of the Northwest Community Policing Council. And we're holding the meeting at 4900 Kachina. If any of you ever want to come out and join us here, we've got lots of room for social distancing, and you may all wear masks if you prefer, or not. I wanted to highlight a couple of things that are coming up very soon. The state is doing a presentation next week. Oops, there it is. And I think that went out to all of you in an email today. And it's the Northwest Albuquerque Public Safety Town Hall. It'll be August 23rd from 5:30 to 7:30, 3401 Ladera. That's at the golf course in the banquet hall. Elected city, county, and state legislators will be in attendance. They're going to talk about property crime, auto crime, and homelessness in the city of Albuquerque. And they want your feedback. And if you come to the meeting, come with some ideas and maybe some solutions for some of these issues, at least from your perspective, because I think anything we can help them with right now on these three topics in particular would be really welcome. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the July minutes. If everybody's had a chance to read them.
Yeah.
Jeff moves. Do we have a second? By show of hand, any of the members, panel members? We have a second?
Edward or
Second, Jackie Cook.
Thank you, Jackie. All in favor of approving the minutes? Raise your hand on the screen. Thanks, everybody. Are there any changes to the agenda tonight other than the one I announced? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Hi. And a second? Jackie?
Everybody raise their hand.
Paul Mondragon is here.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye, raise your hand. Thank you. Next, we have Commander Lieutenant David Saladin, and he's going to give us a crime update. David?
Actually, Lieutenant Amy Sedler is going to be.
Oh, Amy.
Commander Sedler
Amy's gonna
tonight.
sit in.
I see you up there. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Lieutenant Amy Sedler out of the Northwest Area Command. I will be covering for Commander Saladin, who's out on a scheduled vacation. So for the Northwest crime update, we have gone up in burglaries. Our auto thefts has stayed pretty stagnant as far as year to date. We haven't increased or decreased any in that category. Our auto burglaries have also gone up. Our robberies have also gone up. Our proactive police work, though, however, has also gone up, which is a plus. The more proactive we are and the more proactive officers are out in the field, the more likely we are to decrease all these categories that have risen. I'm going to minimize my screen. So excuse me for just a second. I need to see my notes. I'd like to touch on a few significant events from PRT, which is our proactive response team in the Northwest. So with the assistance from OCU and Westside Impact, a subject who actually pointed a firearm at an off-duty police officer was identified and arrested. After incident to arrest, he was also found to be in possession of cocaine, and the vehicle was sealed for a search warrant. On 8/5, 8/6, and 8/13, Northwest PRT, with conjunction again with OCU and Westside Impact, conducted a TAC plan in the Cottonwood Mall Retail District. During that operation, PRT and OCU made a felony arrest on a serial armed robbery suspect. The suspect was actually robbing people at taser point. These individuals were actually believing it was a handgun. However, it turned out to be a taser. That was recovered and tagged into evidence. During this operation, also, we made 2 felony arrests, 4 misdemeanors. The 4 misdemeanors were actually serial shoplifter offenders as well. They each had 3 previous incidents at big box stores within the Northwest Area Command. 7 misdemeanor warrants were cleared and 4 summons were issued for misdemeanor charges, and those subjects were released. This is really noteworthy. On August 15th, PRT executed a search warrant on a vehicle that belonged to one of the subjects that was taken into custody during the operation at Cottonwood Mall, and over $4,000 worth of merchandise was recovered. So kudos to Northwest PRT. Also something that's huge. We actually had an armed robbery at the Burger King at 3221 Coors Boulevard Northwest. That subject, we had some really good video of that subject on the date of the incident. The next date, we had 2 commercial burglaries, and we were able to link the same subject from the armed robbery the day before to these commercial burglaries. During the shift, one of our Northwest officers identified the subject from the video of the robbery on foot, and a short foot pursuit ensued. We were able to get the subject into custody. With the help of the armed robbery unit, they were able to locate and make contact with the victim from the previous armed robbery. They did a photo array, and based on the victim's recollection of the offender, an arrest warrant was actually written, and we were able to charge that subject with the armed robbery from the day before, plus the 2 commercial burglaries from that date itself. A couple things to highlight as far as some community engagement. We, during the summer months, and I'm not sure if Commander Saladin touched on this before, but during the summer months, with the help of Parks and Rec, ACS, and Solid Waste, we were actually clearing out West Bluff Park of any encampments, so Parks and Rec could actually serve free lunches to the children. We did a needle pickup with ACS as well as Parks and Rec. And something else I'd like to touch on is something that will hopefully make a dent in some of these increases as far as crime go, is we're taking advantage of the traffic grant. And that's basically money that's provided to APD for some overtime. And so I have an officer that is coming out to the Northwest Area Command 2 to 3 times a week. He's working between 2 and 3 hours a day, specifically targeting speeders, red light violations, stop sign violations, and different areas throughout the Northwest Area Command. And I can tell you, between August 1st and August 16th, we have had an additional 80 traffic stops and 175 citations. So as long as we have this grant money, we're going to be taking advantage of it and utilize this officer who's willing to do some traffic enforcement within the Northwest Area Command. On August 31st, and Pete might touch on this here a little more in depth, but on August 31st, we're going to do a Montano Plaza Business Coalition meeting. And that's going to be at Riverside Plaza. It's going to be at 10 o'clock. If anyone is interested in going, we'll identify some specific crimes, brainstorm some ideas to combat the increase, and provide a direct line of contact with officers. Pete also has the ability to do a free safety assessment for each of the businesses at their request. Something else I'd like to touch on is back late May, we also did a West Bluff Business Coalition meeting and provided some de-escalation training to everyone that joined us that day. We did that with the assistance of the CIU unit, which is the Crisis Intervention Unit, and they introduced practical de-escalation skills and basic techniques to help resolve difficult situations that these business owners encounter on their property. Also, we have Coffee with a Cop coming up on the 30th at WEX, 6311 Riverside Plaza. And I believe that's at 9 o'clock, but Pete, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
Is
The
it okay?
coffee with 9 o'clock. It's from 9 to 10:30.
Perfect. Let me back up just a little bit. As far as the robberies, I did get in touch with the robbery unit, and the robbery unit is going to be conducting a attack plan next week, starting Wednesday. That's going to provide us with some undercover officers in plain clothes, plain cars, basically just driving the area, waiting for those armed robberies to come out and hopefully catch these guys or girls in the act. So I think that about sums it up. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Yes, ma'am. What's the manpower to the northwest? Because we went from 55 down to like 49 because we lost 6. All right, we're not losing any more, are we? Do you know the census?
Sir, I don't have those numbers in front of me. I can definitely look into it. And if you put your email in the chat, I can email you with that once I get back. I know we did lose a couple to promotion, and we did not get those people back. I know we lost 1 lieutenant. So we are, I'll be honest with you, we're down a few more.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No, because that's something that I always talk to your chief about, and I always talk to the mayor, and now I always talk to Dan Lewis about, because we're the largest geographical area. So a lot of ground for you all to cover. We know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And your concerns are valid. And I do tell my officers 1 call at a time and quality over quantity. I don't want these officers rushing through a call just to get to the next one. I think that tends to lead to these officers being unsafe, but also poor work for the public. When you call, you want us to respond and listen to you and sit down with you and hear what happened and take a good report. I don't want these officers rushing through just to get to the next call and getting hurt. So manning is an issue, and that's another reason why I brought in the traffic unit, just because we do have that traffic grant money. It's 1 officer that can strictly, be proactive and leave the other officers to calls for service. So we're doing the best we can, 1 call at a time.
Okay, and thank you for emailing that to me. And when I'll respond to your email, because I have a traffic issue that I'd like the traffic unit to address. It's around the school, so I'm concerned about safety. But I'll put that in an email and see if you can ask the traffic unit to take a look at that as well when they're out here.
Sure. And sir, did you put your email in the chat?
Kelly's going to take care of that for me. I don't
Okay.
have a computer in front of me, man.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Other questions? Any questions in the chat, Kelly?
Let's see. Sorry, but I missed this officer's name. That is Lieutenant Amy Sedler.
Yeah. She's
Yeah,
been in Northwest for a while now.
right. Okay. Tara has joined us as well, and so has Dr. Matt. And let's see. That's about it.
And no
Yes,
other-
this is Ed Butner, and I wanted to ask the question of the officer, the Lieutenant Amy Sedler. You know, do the additional traffic enforcement stops, you know, by this this additional time that it's funded by the federal grant, does it lead you to any other areas that are of import? That is, or you know, do you find that these people who break the law by speeding and going through stop signs and what have you, as far as traffic violations, do they have other outstanding like warrants against them? Are they bad actors otherwise? Or are they just, you know, bad drivers per se? I mean, are we finding that this leads us to, you know, somehow other criminal elements that can then, you know, mitigate, you know, the burglaries and everything else, you know, wife beating, what have you, domestic abuse. A lot of times I suspect, and I could be wrong, that people who are habitual violators of the traffic laws also don't give a darn about additional parts of the law that don't apply to traffic.
Sure. So I think statistically, overall, they're just good people that might be, you know, going a little faster than the speed limit, not coming to a complete stop. But absolutely, it does lead to other things. And I look at it like the snowball effect. You have the snowball, and once you get it, it keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. So yes, once we make the stop for a minor traffic violation, could it lead to misdemeanor warrants, felony warrants? Absolutely. No insurance. No insurance leads to towing the car. Towing the car leads to, you know, an inventory search. So could it lead to other things? Absolutely. But also the good thing about traffic stops in hotspots and areas that are, you know, high in crime is, one, it's visibility of that officer, right? So as these people that are coming into hotspots, areas in which high in crime, just seeing that officer making that traffic stop could lead them to think, probably not a good time to be, you know, robbing the Denny's or shoplifting from Walmart. So one, visibility is a deterrent, but two, if they're coming in to commit crimes, like you said, they might be driving a little fast. They might be not coming to a complete stop because their mind isn't on really driving safe. Their mind is, how am I going to commit this crime without getting caught, right? And so if an officer is in the area and actually sees the violation and stops that individual, you know, could it lead to other things? Absolutely.
Thank you. We could probably need some more federal funding to continue things like that. I think
Absolutely.
it's worthwhile.
I agree.
We have one question from Clinton Kills in the audience. I've tried to report an issue with motorcycle gangs speeding around the area of Cottonwood Mall several times with no success. One previous commander blew me off saying motorcycles were too hard to catch. The current commander asked me to email him, which I did, but infuriatingly, he responded back asking me several questions that I addressed in my original email. What do I need to do, or who can I talk to get APD to do a targeted traffic enforcement?
I mean, so if you have a direct line of contact with the commander, if you have a specific time of day, a specific area, a specific intersection, those are all good things that we need to know. As far as motorcycles, there are some good points with that. If this is, you know, crotch rockets, do they run from us? They run from us all the time. And what we have to do is really weigh the pros and cons of actually trying to get these people. Once we engage, right, if they run from us and all we have is a misdemeanor traffic violation, doesn't meet our policy to pursue them, absolutely not. not only that, but they're on this really fast motorcycle. And if an officer continues to try to get that person to stop, are we increasing the chance of them wrecking into another motorist? Absolutely. And are they wearing a helmet? How fast are they going? The likelihood of them dying from us chasing them for a misdemeanor traffic violation is huge. So whichever commander mentioned the fact that, you know, the likelihood of us getting them stopped once they run from us, it's just not worth it. It's not worth taking their life for a misdemeanor traffic violation, and it's not worth them wrecking into somebody and taking somebody else's life for a misdemeanor traffic violation. So it just does not meet our policy as far as a motorcycle running from us. I live in the Cottonwood area near Cottonwood Mall. I haven't seen an increased amount of motorcycles. So if you can tell me maybe what time of day and the exact area, I can get some enforcement out there.
I'd like to piggyback on the
Put
lieutenant's
it in the
answer.
chat.
You know, I understand what the lieutenant said. I've been on ride-alongs with 2 different law enforcement agencies. And when those motorcycles decide to run, they're endangering their own life and the lives of others, because I don't know how many people you have ever seen them run, or just see them going down the interstate. And people say, well, get the license plate number. When you're driving down the road the next time and you see some of these crotch rockets, I want you to be able to tell me if you can read the license plate number that's tucked over in underneath the seat. And again, if an officer tries to stop them because they can't read their license plate number, they just take off and run. It's a hard sell. They run the checkpoints at DUI checkpoints, and the DUI officers can't do nothing to them when they decide to just run the checkpoint. They can't spike strip them like they do a car, because that's considered excessive force. Okay. So the lieutenant has a valid point. The community has a valid point. How do you stop them? Yeah, I know they would love to get them. All right. You know, that's what I can say in support of both. I don't like them any more than anybody else when they go flying by me 100 miles an hour on Coors Road. But how are you going to get them? It's a tough sell. If I see other police agencies talk about how they try to get them. Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department had a problem the other year where, you know, they got in the middle of all the motorcycles, and that didn't go too well. Okay. But anyhow, I certainly understand, and I don't know if anybody can really ever come up with a fix. You know,
And I
'cause they're
think,
gonna break the law.
yeah, if anybody has any ideas, I mean, please let us know. It is a tough situation, because we would like to stop these people just as much as anybody. But, you know, to endanger somebody's life for, you know, misdemeanor, it's just not worth it.
I have a quick question. Can you say a little bit more about your policy to pursue? What are the thresholds, and how is that decision made? Does the supervisor get involved?
Yeah, so a supervisor, it's up to the supervisor to authorize a pursuit. The pursuit has to be, it could be aggravated battery, deadly weapon, aggravated assault, deadly weapon, rape, kidnapping, you know, really your higher felony crimes. Once the officer does have the vehicle, the suspect vehicle, that officer would call it out, and then it would be up to the sergeant to say, yes, it meets department policy, a pursuit is authorized. Now, you know, like, and I'm sorry, sir, I don't know your name. The one sitting next to Kelly, I believe.
That is Jeff.
Jeff.
Oh, no.
And you're right, you know, as far as not meeting our policy and not spike belting a motorcycle, we don't spike belt motorcycles. Why? Because it is deadly force. We don't pit motorcycles because it is deadly force. So we have a very strict policy once it comes to pursuing a vehicle, because it is so very dangerous.
And these motorcycle riders know it. They're all in a club. They all talk. They all know all the laws. And they all know that if they run, most police agencies aren't going to chase them because they know they virtually stand no chance of catching them. They'll take off and they'll go on bike paths. They'll go down jogging places. I mean, they have so many diversion routes that it's unreal. And is it fair? No, but they don't care. You know,
Right.
I hate, it's the truth. They really don't care. All they care about is not getting stopped.
And just earlier today, about 30 minutes before I logged on, PRT was out at the Target at Coors and Irving, and there was a subject that was inside the store committing a shoplifting, and it was a felony level shoplifting. They attempted to stop the vehicle and the vehicle fled, and felony shoplifting, a property crime, does not meet our pursuit policy. So we had to let them go. And that's a tough one.
But if someone has ideas how to stop them, give them to them, because I'll pass them on to every law enforcement agency that I interact with. But it's a constant battle that, you know, they'll win. They'll win. And, you know, they know they won't chase. They know the limitations, you know, and pursuits are tough because when whether you're chasing a vehicle or an automobile or a motorcycle, pursuits are tough because once that person that you're chasing runs a red light and hits another person, right away the scrutinization says, was it worth it to chase them? You endangered other people's lives. Okay. You know, the armchair quarterbacking of a chase is phenomenal. And, you know, it's a tough call. No, you don't want them to, believe me, the police officers don't want them to get away. Okay. But the other side of the coin too is what's the time of day? Is it busy intersections? Is there, you know, is it heavy traffic? No, they're not going to chase them in heavy traffic because they will plow through whoever to get away from that cop. And that's motorcycles and cars. But anyhow, motorcycles is a tough one. I feel for the officers because when I talk to them, they want to get them just as bad as you want them to be caught, but they just can't get them.
We have a comment from John V. Hill. He says, we have cars that like to use our roundabout to do donuts round and round. For incidents like these, or even the motorcycles, if they can be identified by video or the like, can they be cited at their own homes later by police officers? Maybe hitting them in the pockets is a way, is this a recourse?
So I'm going to say 99% of the time, no, because one, is the person driving actually the registered owner of the vehicle? We don't know that, right? As far as the traffic violations, no. If it was, you know, let's say we have video of the donuts and they actually wreck into something and cause some damage, and now you have criminal damage and they leave the scene, you know, yeah, you have the misdemeanor charges. But for us to be able to positively identify the registered owner as the driver, that's the difficult part. And it's a misdemeanor outside of our presence. So the most would be a criminal summons. But again, it's how do we know who's driving?
Okay, that's all we have in chat.
All right, thank you very much.
Of course,
And great information.
of
We really
course.
appreciate it.
And
Our
if somebody could put Jeff's email in the chat before I log off here in a few.
Okay,
Thank you.
Alrighty. Our next speaker tonight is going to speak about the APD Shield Unit. And this isn't one that I was previously aware of. This is Alicia Farley tonight, and she is the Shield and Court Services Supervisor. I'm going to let Alicia talk about the unit, and I'll talk a little bit about her. She's a transplant, like I am, from California, and she's lived in New Mexico for about 16 years. She married 12 years ago, and they adopted an 11-year-old little boy. She's been an employee at Albuquerque Police Department since 2019 and started as a staff member in the Shield in the Shield unit and is very passionate about her job and ways to help Albuquerque become a better place. Please welcome Alicia.
Thank you for having me today. As she stated, my name is Alicia Farley. I'm the supervisor for the Court Service and Shield Unit. I manage a staff of 18 civilian employees between the two different units. And I just want to go over what these two units do and how they help out within the Albuquerque Police Department. The purpose of the Court Service Unit is to act as a liaison between the District Attorney's Office, the Public Defender's Office, and the courts. They aid officers by providing case preparation on misdemeanor cases, as well as evidence sharing from the department to the judicial system. These court coordinators file appearances for department personnel and complete the court dockets, so our officers are aware of any scheduling or court appearances that they might need to attend. They process department personnel requests for any sorts of leave, whether it be military, FMLA, and then they notify the judicial system from their absence of court. They also accept and distribute subpoenas for testimony for testimony at criminal and MVD proceedings. They review criminal and traffic citations prior to submission to the appropriate courts. They also process the criminal summons for offenders who are not arrested on scene. Then they're summoned to court for a fair hearing. They also handle district attorney requests for DWI and domestic violence incidents for prosecution. So moving on to the Shield unit, this unit was created back in 2018. And it was created because the officers were tied up working on these cases, following up with video surveillance. So it was created to help these officers free up time for them so they can be on the streets, they could be patrolling. The detectives aren't stuck on one case for a long period of times. What the unit will do is they contact businesses, they obtain video surveillance, they will get documents, loss prevention reports, copies of stolen items, damage estimates, tow sheets. They will also order evidence from the evidence lab, such as photos and video surveillance that has been tagged in by officers and detectives. They'll also, since the officers are now the ones we're freeing time up from them, they will contact the officers, they'll contact the detectives if there is any additional items needed. The Shield unit personnel, they are not allowed to contact civilian victims. We want to keep APD as the face of the department to victims. They're comfortable talking to these officers, so we don't want a random person reaching out and contacting these victims. We want to keep those officers as the face of the department. So that's why the Shield unit is not allowed to contact civilian victims. They'll also reach out to officers and detectives for additional documents such as search warrants, permission to search forms. They will obtain the sexual assault nurse examinations for sexual assault cases. They'll also obtain the breath cards for DWI cases. We provide, what the Shield unit does is we obtain copies of all reports. We obtain copies of all evidence for the cases, and we prepare what's called a discovery packet to be sent to the district attorney's office for prosecution. So that's something that the officers aren't doing. This unit is specifically handling it for these officers and detectives. And then we also handle requests from federal agencies. So FBI, DEA, ATF reaching out to us they are going to now be prosecuting at a federal level. My unit steps in, provides these agencies with those discovery packets so they can prosecute at that federal level. That is all I have for you guys today. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them.
We do not have any questions at this time.
Okay, I'll start it off. How many people are in your unit? If you said it, I missed it. I apologize.
So between the two different units, I have 18 employees. So within the court services unit, I have 6 employees. And then in the shield unit, I have 12 employees.
It's a lot of work for so few people.
So, don't anybody take this the wrong way. I'm not being condescending or taking any shots at anybody. So when the district attorney says the reason they let somebody walk because the paperwork is on order, who's he actually looking at saying they didn't get the paperwork in order? Is he looking at your office, APD as a whole, or who's he looking at? Who's he referring to?
It could be my unit. It all depends. We do not handle homicide cases or fatal crashes, so it depends on the case. And a lot of times these documents are being provided to the district attorney because the shield unit is getting requests from the DA's office. And it's a lot of times we've already provided these documents to the district attorney's office. So yes, it could be from one of my units.
I kind of sensed there was some finger pointing going on, but you know, it's never anybody's fault, you know. But anyhow, no, thank you. You guys got your work cut out for you there too. I don't know if you're staffed high enough. I think it's just another systemic problem within the Albuquerque Police Department, is staffing, whether it's the support functions or whether it's the officers on the street. I think we don't have enough anywhere.
Do you have a feel for what your average caseload is per employee?
So it's not based on per employee. Each employee that I have, they have a specific case day. So Mondays obviously is going to be our highest case day because that's from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday cases. And then the rest of the week, it's just based on how many felony arrests were made the prior night. So it can range anywhere from probably about 10 all the way up to 40 cases.
Still not.
How many hours weekly do you think, on average per officer, this saves a police officer, or maybe per month? What would you say?
Per case, it would save the officers, I would say anywhere good, probably about 5 or 6 hours, because like I said, we're reaching out to the businesses to obtain the documents for them. We're reaching out to obtain those video surveillances. We are ordering the photos from them. So all of the legwork that goes into the cases, my unit's taking on and taking that off of the officer. So I would say about a good 5 to 6 hours of legwork per case.
7 years ago, the officers did all this by themselves.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
great. How many cases yearly do you think you process?
So the shield unit handles strictly felony cases. I don't have that direct number in front of me, but I think last year it was a few thousand cases. I can get that number for you if you would like, and I can get back to you on it.
I was just curious from the basic idea, because it seems like a huge shift for the police department.
I would say probably, if I took a guess, or it'd probably be around 3,000 to 4,000, but I would have to check and look at my numbers and see.
Okay, great. Does anyone else out there have any questions, or anyone in here? Right. It does not seem like we have any other questions. Do you have any other questions to make right now?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Oh, what sort of qualifications does it take to work in this position as court services officer on the shield?
So court services, we would like to see a paralegal in this position, just because it is a lot of paralegal work. We're dealing with the courts, we're dealing with the district attorney's office, a lot of the documents. That is something that we would like to see. But if you have a business background, if you have case management experience, that is something I will definitely look at and take into consideration when I'm hiring.
Great.
Are you fully staffed right now?
In my court services unit, yes, I am fully staffed. In my shield unit right now, I am short by 3 employees.
Okay, so you heard that, folks. If you're looking for a job, Nice boss.
So my question goes to fully staffed. Do you think being fully staffed is enough staff? In other words, I'm asking, does your head count need to be higher?
I would like to see my head count be higher, yes.
Yeah, you're saving money, definitely.
Well,
That's
you're putting
per
sworn
case,
officers
half
back
a
on the
shift.
street quick.
Half of a guy's shift per case.
Right.
That's
right.
huge.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
freeing up
Yeah.
sworn officers.
Well, we can add that to the list of people that are short involving APD. We got emergency operators, we got court services, and we got cops itself, and we have prison guards.
Yeah,
So we got to do a lot of recruiting in the city and this county.
absolutely. We really appreciate you coming at such short notice.
Thank you for having me.
It was an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
I know what you do now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. So do we have any new business?
You've already mentioned our event next week. That's going to be an important one.
Yeah, let me harp on that a little bit, you know. Who all's gonna be there? City councilors, city leaders,
State legislation,
state legislation, you know, the squeaky wheel usually gets the oil, and if we can pack
the room and let's.
Pack the room. You know, tell your neighbors, you know, it's easy to sit at home and complain about it, but it's a little harder to get on out and try to get in those elected representative space and let them know that you're the taxpayer and they need to do better for us. And personally, I don't have a problem doing that. And I just put it on my calendar. I wasn't aware of it, but I'm gonna be there.
I'll be there.
Yep.
In fact, we're gonna have a table set up. So if you want to come and meet us in person,
Right.
please come. We'd love to meet you as well.
Absolutely.
There's going to be a number of opportunities at this meeting to speak out, to be able to say where you see the biggest problems in these three topic areas and what you think needs to be done. And I think they're there to listen. So it should be an excellent meeting and a good opportunity for us on the west side. So
It's
please
campaign
come.
season too.
Yeah, it's campaign
It is
season, so
campaign
they do
season.
listen a little harder.
So it's fair.
Whenever there's an election coming. So we're gonna have a very quick meeting tonight.
And did you write down the events the lieutenant talked about it earlier, the APD events?
Yes, there's a coffee with the cops on the 30th. Is that what she said?
I believe so.
I was gonna
Did you
double
want
check
Pete
that
to say
too.
anything? Pete's your crime
Is Pete on
prevention,
here?
you know, he usually covers that.
Pete, wake
Okay.
up. Are you
Is
there?
Pete still on? I can't believe he would
Yes, I am.
have.
I will be sending,
August
I will
30th.
be, I will be sending the flyers out this next week, but it's August 30th. And that's at the Wex Restaurant located at 6311 Riverside Plaza. That's on a Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Awesome. And I will try to be there.
Great.
Anyone, any other new business? Our next meeting is going to be Wednesday, September 21st, 6 o'clock, right here in this room or on Zoom. Just contact Kelly and he'll send it off to you, the link.
And God willing, we should have part 2 of our series on active shooter scenarios. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to have someone who does training for APD on active shooter situations. And he's a graduate of the APD Academy. So thanks to Jackie Cook, we got a good guest. He just got sick tonight.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, we couldn't attend.
we have a couple of teachers coming too next week to talk about their experiences with the training that APD does for active shooter. And they're excited to come and tell us how they felt during the training and how they feel with this onus, this responsibility upon them. So it should be a very interesting meeting, and it'll be the final, I think, in our series on active shooting.
Right.
More things may come up, you never know. So, are
Uh,
there any matters from the public? That's
Edward has his hand up. Do you have a question?
Edward?
Yeah, my computer froze up. I'm sorry about that, but could you say again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but when is that where all the legislators will be at the Ladera Golf Course? Could you give me the time and date again?
Yes, that's on August. Let me make sure I read it. 23rd,
23rd, next
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
right,
5:30 to 7:30.
5:30 to 7:30.
Thank you very much.
And I think I sent you a notice on that. It's attached to tonight's meeting notice.
All right, thank you.
There's a flyer.
All right.
All right, any other matters from the public? Remember that we as a council can write recommendations to APD and to other city units relative to crime. So if you have suggestions or ideas, things that you think we should be doing as a city to mitigate our crime, let us know. And if we can work it into a recommendation to the police department, we will gladly do that as a committee. So bring those things forward. At the end of each meeting, we have a time for you to discuss anything you want to discuss with us. But you can also email us. My email is in the newsletter that was sent out to you, and you have Kelly's email as well. All right, anything else for tonight?
That's all we have.
Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Jeff?
No more questions in any of the chat?
Got
No.
nothing.
Okay,
Nothing there.
no more questions. in
Thank
the
you,
chat.
everyone,
No.
so
motion to
much for
adjourn.
attending.
We'll adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn, a second from,
All
thank you.
right. Have a nice evening. We'll see you in 28 days or so.
Or next week. We hope to see you then.
That's right. Bye-bye.
Everybody have a good night.
5:30.